AEW President Tony Khan says he's unbothered by WWE's counter-programming tactics ahead of AEW All-In Texas next weekend. Scorpio Sky makes his first appearance on AEW television in close to 2 years last night on AEW Collision 100. Mystico has been added to the men's casino gauntlet match at All In. He'll also be in action next Thursday live on AEW Collision. The AEW World Tag Team Championship match has now got new members in the Patriarchy ahead of AEW All In Texas next weekend. The TNT Championship match for All In has also been confirmed. The Death Riders have laid out the challenge for the AEW World Trios Championships. Christopher Daniels' eye injury was actually never real. Several matches and segments are confirmed for next Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite. The next events for Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling have been confirmed. Psycho Clown makes his final appearance at Nezza Arena, with WWE announced as his destiny. Kenny Omega comments on WWE acquiring Lucha Libre AAA. Zoe Stark provides an update on her recovery from injury. Jordynne Grace is set to make her film debut. And Darby Allin performs a car stunt amid his AEW television hiatus. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. As you can see right there, we are just 50 subscribers away from 23,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe, as we get closer and closer to 25k, of course, our goal in 2025. Now, let's begin with AEW All In Texas, AEW's biggest show of the year this coming Saturday. And Tony Khan has commented on WWE's counter-programming for AEW All In next weekend in Texas. Of course, AEW All In Texas takes place on Saturday, July 12th. It is All Elite Wrestling's biggest show of the year, and in many ways, it is their equivalent to WWE WrestleMania. On the same day, WWE is presenting both NXT Great American Bash and WWE Saturday Night's Main Event, featuring the retirement match of Bill Goldberg. During a recent interview with WFAA, AEW President and CEO Tony Khan was asked about WWE hosting two events on the same day as AEW All In. Tony says that he's entirely focused on AEW issues and that this mindset has greatly benefited them. He said, quote, "Well, I think we're going to put on a great event and we have to focus on putting on the best event we can with the best wrestlers in the world. So that's a lot of fun. So we're going to have a great show next Saturday afternoon, and we're very focused on what AEW is doing and AEW fans, and I think that served us really well." Elsewhere, Tony Khan discussed the possibility of collaborating with other countries to promote state-sponsored AEW events. He also said he thinks that AEW All In Texas is going to be the most fantastic AEW show to date. Now, speaking of AEW, Scorpio Sky is back on AEW television. Scorpio Sky returned on AEW Collision 100, answering Max Caster's open challenge. Sky picked up the quick victory with a cutter. Now, before Sky made his entrance, a vignette aired showing Scorpio trading with Christopher Daniels and Top Flight, that being Dante Martin, Darius Martin, and Lila Gray. Daniels accompanied him to the ring for his match, while Top Flight initially came out with him, but went to the back. This was Sky's first AEW match since September 2023. A vignette aired for a potential return in August of 2024, but he never made his live return to television. Mystico, he's been added to a major match at AEW All In Texas. AEW announced that Mystico will be a part of the men's casino gauntlet match at AEW All In on July 12th. Mystico joins Mark Briscoe and MJF as the three announced competitors. Briscoe is set to enter the gauntlet at number 1, while MJF enters at number 2. The gauntlet, of course, can end at any time. The winner of the casino gauntlet will receive a shot at the AEW World Championship. Speaking of Mystico, he'll be in action next week on AEW Collision. Mystico is set to take on the Beast Mortos on the July 10th episode of AEW Collision. AEW President and CEO Tony Khan made the announcement on social media, saying, quote, "This week, Thursday, AEW Collision, Garland, Texas on TNT and Max. July 10, this Thursday, Mystico versus the Beast Mortos before he enters the AEW All In Texas Casino Gauntlet match this Saturday afternoon. Legend Mystico will collide versus the Dangerous Beast Mortos this Thursday." Now, the Patriarchy, they've been added to the AEW World Tag Team Championship match at Allin. Nick Wade and Christian Cage have been added to the match between the Hurt Syndicate and Jet Speed at AEW Allin for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Christian and Wayne have been trying to become the first father-son tag team champions in AEW history, and now they will get their chance at AEW All-In Texas. They lost the AEW World Trios title in a ladder match at AEW All-In London in 2024. Of course, later on in the evening, though, Christian Cage won the Men's Casino Gauntlet for a future opportunity at the AEW World Championship. Another title match has been confirmed for AEW All-In. Kyle Fletcher will challenge Adam Cole for the AEW TNT Championship at AEW All-In Texas. Fletcher earned this title shot by defeating Daniel Garcia in the main event of the July 5th episode of AEW Collision, that being the 100th episode of the show. The finish saw Fletcher hit an apron powerbomb on the outside before dusting off Garcia with a brainbuster inside the ring. The Death Riders, they've issued a challenge for AEW All-In, and they're looking to get their titles back. On the July 5th episode of AEW Collision, the 100th episode of the show, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta issued a challenge to the Ops, that being Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata for AEW All-In Texas. Claudio and Yuta said the AEW World Trios titles would be theirs, and they were upset that the Ops can't be sticking their nose in Death Rider's business. Now, the Ops defeated Claudio, Yuta, and Jon Moxley on the April 16th episode of AEW Dynamite to win the Trios titles. Moxley replaced Pac in the match, who was ruled out with an injury. Now, this is an interesting story when it comes to Christopher Daniels and the eye injury that he had for over a year, but actually, it wasn't an injury at all. Now, from 2022 to 2023, Christopher Daniels dealt with an eye injury that was fully red. Daniels said the injury didn't affect his wrestling, but it looked visually painful. Turns out, the eye injury was never actually real. Daniels revealed this in an interview with Chris Van Vliet on Insight. Here's what he had to say.
How long did it take your eye to heal up?
So, newsflash, that was never real.
What?
That was fake, yes. So, I had the match with the Young Bucks, all right? And all of you that are watching now,
What?
you're going to feel this. So I had the match with the Young Bucks where SCU split up. I got super kicked into the post. And the next day, I had this huge black eye, and I can give you guys pictures to show later down the line. Had this huge black eye, and it started to fill with blood. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. And then like 3 days later, it healed, and I was like, oh, that's too bad. And then I thought, what if I did? So at the time, Abaddon was working for us, and she wears these contacts. And I said, do you have a guy that does these contacts? Because I want to do this thing. She's like, yeah. She put me in touch with this guy. And I was like, listen, this is what I want. I just want to make it look like a hemorrhage. And that was a storyline that not a storyline. I had pitched this idea of like, I had lost everything. I made this video that I presented to the AEW, and Tony. And I was like, hey, here's the story. I was the ring general, but my plans failed. And because of that, SCU is no longer a thing. And now I have this scar to show for my failure. But I'm going to come back, and all I have left is my career and my fighting. And so I sent this in. And like at the end of that match, I even said to Matt and Nick and Frankie, I was like, this might be my last match. I could retire from this. And if I retire because of this, cool. And so I didn't wrestle for like 3 or 4 months. And then I came up with this idea, gave it to Tony, and then I started doing a little bit of the indies, and I thought, okay, well, this will get me back on television. But like, we never really capitalized on that. And then I came back like 6 months later to do the match with Brian when AEW bought Ring of Honor. That was my first match back from whenever I made the match with the Bucks. So that was the mentality of like, let's do this thing. And so I kept it for a long time. And then like later down the line, I was like, oh, we're not really concentrating on this. This isn't really a thing anymore. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's time for the eye to heal. And so like, I wore it for like a year and a half, and I wore it everywhere. Wore it everywhere. Like the first time I debuted it out in the public, I went to the Heels premiere, and I met Stephen Amell, and he's like, oh my God, your eye. And I was like, yeah, man, it's okay. And then the next time he saw me was at, we were at Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe, And he comes up to me and goes, hey, your eye's healed. And I was like, hey, that was fake. And he was like, you son of a bitch. I was like, listen, we just watched a television show about kayfabe man. So what did you want? What did you want, Steven? Come on.
I remember you posing on the red carpet.
Yep.
At that premiere.
Yep.
With the eye.
I remember we did, the last interview we did was online.
Yes.
And you're talking to me about it. I'm like, I'm lying to you right now.
You didn't say that.
Of course. Well, no.
Yeah.
I remember I wore it like when the longest I had to wear it, we were on the Jericho cruise one year. And every time I was in front of the fans, I had that eye in. So like I'm wearing this huge contact lens. Like it's not a regular size contact lens because it covers the white of your eye. So it's pretty large and it's, you know.
Could you see through it?
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly fine.
100%.
Because that was the story you kept telling everybody.
Yep.
That with the hemorrhage, I could see fine, no problem. And I'm like, maybe you should get this checked out. And you're
the
like,
funny thing is,
I did.
I one time I was at a signing and this lady comes up and she goes, oh, how's your eye? And I go, well, you know, it's still like this. I don't know. And she was like, oh, well, that's weird. You know, I'm a doctor. And I went, yep, cool. And she's like, yeah, that's not really typical. And I go, no, ma'am, it's not. So sorry, doctor. I didn't mean to lie to you either, but.
Wow. Well, you
commitment to a gig, everyone. Commitment to a gig is important.
You got us all.
Thank you.
Now, Dynamite next week. AEW have confirmed that Mark Briscoe and MJF will have a good old-fashioned talkie talk on Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. Both men are scheduled to compete in the men's casino gauntlet match at AEW All-In. Plus, an all-star 8-man tag team match will take place as AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and the Young Bucks take on Will Ospreay, Hangman Adam Page, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata. In singles competition, Samoa Joe will face Wheeler Yuta. In the women's division, Thekla, Queen Aminata, Tay Mello, and Megan Bayne will compete to determine who enters number 2 in the women's casino gauntlet match at AEW All in Texas. Finally, AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm and AEW TBS Champion Mercedes Moné will have their final face-to-face before AEW All In. Let's switch over to Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling here, because Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has announced several upcoming events. MLP Wrestling announced that MLP Downtown Showdown will take place on July 26th. Furthermore, the promotion announced that MLP Sacred Ground will take place on September 5th. The announcements were made at MLP Resurrection. Of course, if we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Psycho Clown, he's on his way to WWE, possibly straight to the main roster. At an event on July 4th at the Neza Arena, it was announced that Psycho Clown would be making his final appearance at the venue. It was said that WWE is the, quote, destiny for Psycho Clown. He teamed with Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Nino Hamburguesa against Psycho Circus at the event. The photographer, Alfonso Lizarragua, announced and first shared the news. Psycho Clown, of course, is part of AAA, which is now owned by WWE. He was featured at the WWE AAA Worlds Collide show and shown in the crowd at WWE NXT events. Kenny Omega, he's commented on the purchase of Lucha Libre Worldwide by WWE. Of course, during WrestleMania weekend, WWE announced the purchase of Lucha Libre Worldwide AAA. The two promotions came together in June for the Worlds Collide show. AEW had an established relationship with CMLL and worked with AAA in the past years too. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Kenny Omega briefly commented on the WWE AAA partnership when discussing the different styles of wrestling. He said, quote, having complete cards is the most exciting part of our show and our program right now. We have a lot of young guys that can do some incredible things. We have some bigger dudes on our roster too, which we sort of had a lack of. Now we have the Bobby Lashley's, Powerhouse Hobbs, Samoa Joe's. We have those boxes ticked, and we have the Will Ospreays and Swerves and Hangmans who are just at their physical peak right now. Takeshita is another one of those guys. Now we're implementing a lot of the luchador style as well. I feel AEW has really become, even now, especially with, I don't know if you'd call it a merger, probably not the best technical term, but AAA working with WWE, they are introducing a little more lucha libre to their stuff as well too. which I think is great to see. In a perfect world, I would love to show the various styles of pro wrestling so that people can develop an appreciation for it. And if it isn't what you like, there's a chance that throughout that card, there is something that you are going to like, because it's not just having to be the same thing over and over and over again, he said. Of course, AEW recently traveled to Mexico for the first time in June, holding AEW Grand Slam Mexico at Arena Mexico. Bit of an update here on Zoe Stark and her recovery from injury. Zoe Stark has been out of action since the May 19th episode of Monday Night Raw, getting injured in a mistimed springboard missile dropkick spot during a triple threat match involving Kairi Sane and Rhea Ripley. WWE changed plans on the fly, with the plan reportedly changing from Ripley pinning Stark to Ripley pinning Kairi Sane instead. It was expected that Zoe Stark would miss the rest of 2025 and beyond, with WWE preparing for Stark to potentially miss WrestleMania 42. Stark confirmed soon after that she'd undergone surgery on her ACL, MCL, and meniscus, suffering various injuries during her scary landing. There was some talk about her future in wrestling full stop due to an AI video making the rounds of Stark announcing her retirement, though she quickly took to social media to debunk this video. In a social media exchange with Road Dogg over the last few days, Stark did offer some insight on when fans can expect to see her back in the ring. Road Dogg noted that he'd love to see Asuka and Stark go at it in singles action, to which Stark replied that she'd be happy to do it in 8 months. This would signal a Stark return is currently scheduled to be back around March, which would mean she would make it back just in time for WrestleMania season, if indeed that timeline is accurate. Jordynne Grace is becoming the latest WWE name to transfer over to the silver screen. Jordynne Grace is set to make her film debut. Variety reported on Sunday that Grace has been cast in the genre-busting fantasy film Welcome to Paradise. The film is currently in post-production, meaning Grace has already filmed her scenes. Written and directed by Richard Summers Calvert, the plot follows Lisa, who wakes up on a beach with no memory and is told by a creature that she has arrived at the carnival. Quote, the surreal fantasy film blends psychological drama, dark comedy, and mythic surrealism, centering on a mysterious carnival where winning may mean survival and losing could trap visitors in an alternate reality forever, Variety described the movie. Welcome to Paradise is currently slated for a late 2025 release on the festival circuit. Quote, some may doubt it could work, but that's because they've never witnessed something like this in the flesh, Summers Calvert said of the film. This film has moments that people will have never seen, heard, or even dreamt before, and that's what excites me most. Also cast in the film are Bill Nighy, Matthew Horn, Georgina Bennett, Kirk Patterson, Togo Igawa, Tracy Wilkinson, and the late British stage actor Simon Fisher-Becker, who passed away in March. And finally, Darby Allin, he's back from Mount Everest and he's back to completing stunts. AEW's Darby Allin has shared a new video of him performing a stunt in a car following his Mount Everest climb. With Darby Allin reaching the summit of Mount Everest in May, there has been a lot of speculation about the former TNT champion's in-ring return now that he's safely back on the ground. Well, safely may not be the right word with Darby after he started sharing videos revealing the aftermath of a car stunt. Darby took to his Instagram story to share a video of him jumping on a car on a dirt ramp. He followed it up with a short video showing the damage to the car with a broken seatbelt and deployed airbags, and himself with cuts on his chest and arm. Darby Allin hasn't wrestled since late 2024, last wrestling Ricochet to a time-limit draw in the AEW Continental Classic Tournament on the December 22nd, 2024 Dynamite episode. Darby Allin has been advertised for Court Sharks Strike Back during Shark Week on July 24, with a first look to be shown on the July 23rd Dynamite episode. It's currently unclear when Darby Allin will return to AEW television, but it has been heavily speculated that he could appear at AEW All in Texas next weekend on July 12. Of course, if we get any more details on a return to AEW TV for the former TNT champion, we'll let you know in a future video. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. You can see right there now we're less than 50 subscribers to go until 23,000. Really appreciate everyone that's been subscribing recently and getting involved on the channel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. subscribe, join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. And of course, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You can click the join button, scan the QR code on the sidebar, and whilst you're checking out the sidebar, you can see all upcoming live streams. We've got an epic weekend coming up with AEW All in Texas, a live stream, watch along, and a post show. Later on that night, we've got Saturday night's main event, Goldberg's retirement match, a live watch along and post show for that. Plus, the very next night, we've got WWE Evolution, the return of the all-women's PLE from WWE. We'll be live with a watch along and a post show for that as well. I appreciate everyone for tuning in as always, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.